The king and Bruandi devise a plan. Bruandi would dig and build the shelter with Salhuta, while the king finds firewood, food, and fresh water. They all keep themselves busy. Bruandi, do you think anyone else has survived? Bruandi looked at him with much pain in his eyes. I'm sure somehow we can build a big enough shelter for others to share. This gave the prince hope. He started to work harder. Deep down he was praying, hoping his sister was still alive. He couldn't bear the thought of really losing her. It hurt too much. He wiped his eyes. They were full of tears, and he couldn't see. Salhuta glanced over. The prince wiped his eyes again. He didn't want Bruandi thinking he was crying. Come on, this shelter won't build itself. The prince quickly pulled himself together and got back to work. Well, Salhuta, it's not a palace like you're used to, but it will keep us dry and out of the wind. Sometime later, his father returned. He carried firewood, coconut shells filled with water, and a few small birds. Sorry, said the king. This is all I could find. Then we have a banquet, said Bruandi. He took the firewood and kindling and pulled out 2 stones from his pocket, placing the kindling on the sand. He struck the stones together, a spark. Then, fire! Wow, I've never seen such a thing! Cried the prince. That's amazing. The king and Bruandi smiled at each other. You're gonna learn so much more than that, my son, said the king. The fire was warm. The birds were cooking. They smelled wonderful. They were all very hungry. The king gave his son a drink of water. After they had eaten, Salhuta fell asleep. The king and Bruandi took turns to keep watch. Morning came. The king woke the prince. For the first few seconds, he thought they were back at the palace and all was well. Then the harsh reality hit him once again. His heart sank. Morning, son, his father said. Come eat and drink today. We're searching for survivors. We'll all stay together that way. When we find them, we can carry them back here. The prince nodded. Again, he prayed that he would find his sister. He knew they didn't always get along, but he loved her. He was scared he'd never see her again. That grieved him. As they walked along the beach, they could see lots of wreckage from the ship. They started shouting out, "Is there anyone here?" Again and again they called, while turning over huge pieces of the wrecked ship. "Father!" shouted Salhuta, "I can see a hand." The king and Bruandi ran over. They lifted the wreckage. Underneath was Salhuta the brave. Bruandi listened for a heartbeat. She was breathing, but very weak. They carried her back to the shelter. After showing the prince how to care for her, they went back out looking for others. They found many, but many were dead. They laid them all out on the beach to bury later. The king spotted a body floating over a barrel in the water. "Bruandi, here!" He hoped it might be his lost baby girl. They both raced to the barrel. The king looked and felt the disappointment. It wasn't May, but he was relieved to see Calamon, the wise, alive. They carried her back to the shelter. By now, Salhuta was awake. She was weak, but asking questions. Bruandi filled her in on what had happened, and that they were still searching for survivors. She tried to get up. "I want to help," she said, but her vision blurred. She needed rest. The king stepped forward. "No, Salhuta, you need to rest. We'll keep looking. There's not much light left today, and we still need to find firewood, food, and more clean water. Salhuta collapsed with exhaustion, hoping to see another